everyone. My name is Terri Paddock. I am really delighted to reunite with these guys. Really focused on the stage with me. I was joined by James, who, as you know, is a writer, Dario, the director, Bryony, who's one of the professional actors, as well as the other three professional cast members, and then the young people in the cast. So I've got Red, Alexandra, and Pijus here with me. You guys were sat in the stalls, kind of watching. But chipping in, and it was something that when James and I talked about doing this again, I thought and he felt that we really wanted to bring you up into the center of the focus for this follow-up discussion, which I think is quite right. So thank you, James, for reuniting us all. Thank you guys for coming. We have just seen a lot about the life of Madge Gill, and we of course had Stephen Timms talking about her beforehand. So for this discussion, we've got about 20-25 minutes, and we really want to talk about the creative process, and as James has said, focusing on the young people. But before I turn over to the rest, I do just want to, James, ask you to set the scene for us. So, because what is so wonderful about the Newham plays is that they are so very grounded in the community of Newham, and that the way that you do them at lots of different places, some site-sympathetic venues, and they're always these kind of hybrid mixes of professional cast and creatives that working with young people. I'm sure most of you in the room saw what was achieved at Art in the Docks. I was just blown away by not just the production as we've seen on screen, but the community engagement around it and the wonderful art that was created by young people and those in the community responding to Madge's work. It was really quite magical. That's a play on words that I didn't intend, but nevertheless, it sounds good. But so, James, why do that with the Newham plays? Has it always been your purpose that you wanted them to be community projects as well as artistic endeavors?
Well, I would like to say it was a noble cause right from the beginning, but if I'm being absolutely honest, the first of the Newham plays in 2012, When Chaplin Met Gandhi, with the unlikely sounding title, but it is actually a true story, that Charlie Chaplin met Gandhi in Canning Town. I think, if I'm being absolutely brutally honest, it was a way of getting the funding to get the play on. So it was kind of embryonic, the idea of pro-localism, that you could try and embed the life and work of a play in the community. I think it took off from the second play, Revolution Farm, which was a contemporary reimagining of Orwell's Animal Farm, which we did on Newham City Farm, which is sadly no longer there. And I thought, actually, this is I find this more. And I think other people did as well, which is really good, because I was thinking, I find this really more interesting, stimulating, than if you were doing it in an established theatre. Because just as a quick example, why I think that obviously being at the Art of the Docks was a perfect symbiosis between Madge Gill, her work, her life, and the space in the venue. If I think of Revolution Farm, the update of Animal Farm, yes, you could, of course, you can do it, and it is. I think it's been done at Theatre Royal Stratford East. It's coming up, but I don't think you could get, for instance, the resonances when we did it at Newham City Farm. You've got Canary Wharf. You can see them, as a backdrop. So that's the centre of financial wealth or exploitation. Whatever however you want to put it. And then you've got a story holding in front of you about greed, exploitation, oppression, protest, power, etc. So I really do think I'm quite fanatical now about. I'm not convinced about the theatres, established theatres. Yeah. I'm not. When I go to a theatre, it might be a really good play, but it just leaves me a bit distant. Whereas I really like the idea of the Newham plays, embedding it in the life. And details of the local area.
So let me bring in Dario then. So Dario, when you're putting together this production, where do you start? Did you know the venue? Then do you bring on the professional cast? How then do you recruit the young people?
The venue, James, you've been talking to Chris, who runs Art of the Dock, so that was sort of already agreed it would be taking place there. And then we had a choice of spaces, so we worked out which room we're going to use. So that had all been sorted out. We spent was 2 weeks rehearsal, one with the professional actors just for a week to go through everything. Obviously, they had a lot to do, especially Bryony, about 6 or 7 or 8 different roles.
They just keep giving me characters.
Different
Yeah,
actors,
there was that.
different-
Yeah. Do you know exactly how many and how many wonderful dresses you got to wear?
I think it was 6 or 7, I think. Yeah.
Exploitative writer.
It was, but then every time there's a new accent, so it was fantastic.
That great
It was
accent.
great. So we spent a week working Monday to Friday with the adults, and then a week bringing in our brilliant young cast as well. So it was 2 weeks rehearsal, and then we were on round for a week.
Okay. And Bryony, representing the professional cast, what was the difference, week 1 and week 2? How did that change when these guys came into the room with you?
It was a lot noisier. No, there was definitely a very different energy, obviously, because we were working with the main script and certain scenes that were just us, and then these guys just filled the room, and then it was like, oh, here's the energy, here we go, and then the music came in and it just builds and builds and builds, and obviously it's such a short amount of time to rehearse that you just had to ride the crazy waves. It's
Okay, so you guys are out. Now, how did you find out about the project? Had any of you acted before, and what made you, when you found out about this, want to get involved? Who wants to start? Red.
Oh, okay. I found this out from a drama youth club that I attend. They sent the text to my parents, and then they showed it to me, and I was like, okay, this sounds interesting, you know. It was a lazy summer, I don't really have much to do. So I was like, you know, why not? I went to the audition, it was fun, and then I got the email from James, and I got told about my character, and I was really interested, I wanted to do it, so yeah, I went there.
Yeah. Alexandra.
I live in the area where the play was being done, and Christopher, who does like art in the docks, he like messaged my mum about it because my mum goes out of her way to tell people, oh yeah, my daughter loves acting, she loves doing, because I do drama in school and I really enjoy acting, but it's a really difficult like field to get into because it's like the industry is really difficult. So he like sent all my details to James, and then from then on I was privileged enough to get a part in the play.
Wonderful. And Pijus.
James came to our school to do a workshop, and
with Nor,
and he invited all of us to be a part of this, and my immediate reaction was yes. I immediately signed up, and that was it. I came to the auditions, I got the role, and here I am.
And then, may I ask, how old are each of you?
I'm 17.
17? 19.
15.
And
Wait.
The rest of us don't need to say our ages. We'll avoid that. And the youngest in the company, because there was a range of ages, weren't there? Who was the youngest in the company?
10, 9 or 10, yeah.
Wow.
Really amazing. Okay, so you all had done a bit of acting, as you said, but what was it like then working with these guys? And what did you learn working with them?
I think it was really inspiring for me personally because the main leads were all women, and I feel like it was such a cool opportunity to see like women in the acting field who I inspired to be working with me and giving me tips and helping me, and it was just a really nice like experience for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me it was just, as you said, very inspirational, you know, working with these guys was amazing. It felt like really professional as well, and like they didn't talk down to us or patronize us. It felt like we were all equal, and it was amazing. We learned from them, they learned from us, and like the games and everything we played, it was a fun time. I'd do it again for sure.
It was definitely a unique experience. Working with the professional cast was definitely something new, especially for me. I hope for everyone as well. And we did learn a lot from them. So yeah.
And it's not just the acting, isn't it? Because this is a fringe production, so you are moving, as we saw. You're moving the sets around. Did you get involved in the production side as well with the Dario and the other creatives?
Yeah, we would always be like helping each other out behind the curtain. The costume changes at the back.
Yeah,
were
with
crazy.
the little ones, it was kind of us being like, you go
Yeah.
over there, you go over there.
Listen up for each other's cues and stuff.
Yeah, like,
So
you're on,
always
you're on,
looking
go,
at
go.
each other.
Lots of postcards as well. We all had to do about 40
Yeah.
postcards.
And the shirts, we were the ones, like the yellow shirts that we wore, we had to like decorate them and stuff, so it was really fun.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And now, all these months later, had you seen any of the film before? What is it like watching yourselves on screen?
For me, it felt like it was just a full circle moment. I was like very, but I came here thinking I was gonna be like, oh no, I want to look for myself. I thought I was gonna get secondhand embarrassment and everything, but yeah, I just feel really proud of us and everything we achieved in like a short space of time as well. Like it was so quick, so rapid. So yeah, I'm honestly just proud of all of us.
I feel like I do get secondhand embarrassment, unlike you, when I watch myself act. But I feel like now that I'm looking back, it's kind of like we did that in a week. Like we went on, I learned all my lines in a week, and like we had like creative freedom. Like some of the bits in my bit, they were like improvisation. They were like, cool, keep that in, that was good. And I feel like it is a bit embarrassing watching myself, but it's also like, I did that in a week, like I'm proud of it, and like it was such a like big thing. Like I feel like we really came together and became kind of a family at the end. Like it was, I will always think of it like fondly.
Watching this back, it definitely gave me some of the good things that I've done within this project, and some of the things that I would like to improve next time if I do things like this.
What would you like to do differently that you noticed today?
I think some of my volume within the production was a bit quieter, so I think I need to improve on that. Project. Yeah.
Well, it's not a traditional theatre space, so there were a lot of challenges in that space, weren't there? Dario, what would you say they were?
Acoustics were a big one. God bless Hardy for sticking up lots of fabric everywhere to try and dampen as much of it as he could, but it's a big echoing room, so that is a challenge. We're next to an airport, that was fun. As you probably heard.
I think I did ask Gary at one point, could you please stop the plane? Otherwise, completely devoid of the practical nature of these spaces.
We stopped short of invading the runway, but so that's it. Also, as you can probably, I forgot how squeaky the chairs were. That was good. But no, it was acoustics probably the most challenging thing, and you've got to make sure there's a backstage space. Obviously, it's not a dedicated theatre space, so working all that out. Luckily, the mezzanine came in handy. I think you guys could hide up there from time to time, sort of out of view. So, but on the other hand, it's the perfect space to do a play about an artist in an arts venue. So, Hardy was fantastic at decorating the space and making it a bit more Madge. So
it was very Madge. Now I know you've got a lot of fans in the room with us. So has anyone got any questions that they want to put to our panel? Anyone? You're being shy. Yes, just there.
I've got one for James.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Of course it is.
I'm just curious as when you were working on the process of the magic, if you like, when it was coming together as a play, what was the most challenging bit for you? What were there any kind of obstacles that you had to kind of think 2 or 3 times around, or what have you, or wasn't there any?
Well, there was one, and I have to declare an interest. Andrew did help me with the research, the glass eye.
Oh God!
It's how much a glass eye would have cost. Madge Gill had cancerous growth in her eye, unfortunately, and I had to have a glass eye. And Andrew, who knows about the work of Madge Gill, had been very helpful and valuable to me in terms of tracking it down. And you did find out how much. I don't think I'm afraid I don't think I used it in the end, but that's typical writers, they know it better than I do.
When you was putting it together though, apart from the glass eye cost.
I think I've mentioned this before. It does feel slightly odd that the kind of the 5. I'd say the 5 Newham plays have been quite painful in some, to a lesser or greater degree. I don't know why. Once I knew that Myrninerest was going to be personified, was going to have a physical presence, it seemed to come quite naturally. And then I think I don't want to sort of sound a bit quasi. Fey about it, about the I don't want to be glib about the spiritual side, but I think it was real when I was, because it seemed to come effortlessly.
Yeah. Are you for family still living? Matches?
I don't think so. No.
And given what a short amount of time you had, I wonder, as a company, did you discuss some of the themes in the play, like, what are your thoughts on the spirit guide and reincarnation, or possession versus creativity? I mean, there's so many fascinating aspects to it. It really stayed with me when I thought about it afterwards. I wonder how it affects you.
Found Madge really fascinating to begin with, and we liked the way Anna brought her to life. It was really I think the way that she did it was really good. We didn't really have time to sit down and be like, so what do you guys think that's going to happen when we die? Because there were a lot of smaller kids there as well. But I think that we just all instantly knew what a special person Madge Gill was, and it was kind of a privilege to be able to tell her story in a way.
We did also take time to analyze her drawings and stuff. Because to be honest, the first time all of a sudden we were like, oh, what are we supposed to be looking at? But as we learned more about her, we came to understand her drawing style and everything, and it was just very fascinating, especially the exhibition as well that was set up. So
did you contribute to the exhibition?
Yeah.
You did. Yeah. And P.S., what do you think?
Yeah, so we did, the exhibition was probably the main part where we got to learn more about Madge Gill's artistic work, and we did get to see a lot of the fan-made artworks, and we got taught a lot about the history as well of Madge Gill. I know that in East Ham there's the archives, so yeah, that was really an interesting experience to learn more about Madge Gill's history.
Yeah, I think I recognize. Were you at the Q&A when we did it last year? Yes, and I was so moved by what you said at the time about how you were affected by her art and getting involved in the exhibition and being inspired seeing them put on this play. I wonder if you could just remind us what you said and if it's affected you now all these months on.
First of all, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
My last art that I did was senior 4, O level, and was supposed to draw a flower, and mine was a disaster. And I decided I can't draw, art is not for me. And then somehow the universe decided otherwise, and I found myself in the class, coming to do art, but with a lot of anxiety. And the class was ending in 2 weeks. So I just had 2 weeks to get ready for the exhibition. And what I found really interesting was a cutting from the magazine where there were 2 ladies. One lady was holding up an eagle, but there was a dark backdrop behind them. It was almost like the side of a shore, and they were trying to let the eagle go. And there was a mountain behind them. And then the other lady behind was holding this other lady's hand, kind of like the muse supporting her. So when I heard Mr. John and the other students talk about Madge Gill, I thought, I'll draw this picture because the lady at the back is the muse, and the one at the front is Madge Gill, trying to get her creativity out. And when I think about the support I got and what I was able to produce, I'm amazed at what is possible with the right environment and the right support. Because in a world where people believe in the tangibles, it has to be there to be real. A lot of people are intimidated because there's a lot of comparison outwardly. So a lot of creativity dies before even it has a chance to begin to emerge. So something like this is needed now, more than ever, for several reasons. One is technology. When brain was called smart, and now you look at a phone being called smart, what does that say about our brains? But most importantly for the younger generations who are coming up. Then the second thing that struck me was Myrninerest. A brain at war with itself does not know peace. And there's so much going on that we are kind of hooked into business escape. And this, for me, has challenged me to pause, to slow down, to observe. And so there are several questions that came up. So my first question is going to be to the North Middlesex University. Is there scope, first of all, how is the work that's been produced going to be used?
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you for putting that so beautifully, and I'm really glad to hear that it's affected you and continues to stay with you. Yeah, and James, what will be done next with Madge Gill or the other work produced around it?
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good question. Yeah, because fortunately I've got a full-time job, being an academic. I certainly will continue to working with, for instance, Christopher there at Art in the Docks, where we performed it. Christopher's already mentioned about hosting the video, on their site. Perhaps we could attract more, more traffic there. I would love to get, and I've tried. That's, you can probably hear it in my voice. It's frustrating. Is that I know Mind is this is the charity, the mental health charity that Dr. Bowl founded. Mind, I've left, right, and centre tried to get them on board, and yeah, I suppose I'm it might sound a bit precious, but I think you should be, but I'm not getting any traction there. I realise this. It's big.
Well, that's
big
something
organisation.
for each of us to do. We can message Mind. Will you publish this film somewhere?
Yes. I'm not sure where, but I would. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't, but to say there's 5 other Newham plays to do that with. I think so. I'm, really open to ways we can get it out and make it more visible. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Christopher, did you have a question?
Yeah, the first thing I'd say is how remarkable it was to see this film, but how remarkable it was to hear Florence a few moments ago, eloquently describing what this performance meant to her personally. I hadn't heard that before. And I think if there's one takeaway here, is the difference you can make through art to other people's lives. And it's fantastic that you as young people are involved in that, and how powerful that is. And I hope that will stay with you throughout your careers. I have a question for you, James. We heard in the play how drawing and painting at midnight isn't necessarily insanity, it could be inspiration. I know for a certain fact that you were writing your play well after midnight. Were there ever moments where you asked yourself that same question?
How do you sleep? How many hours a day?
That's really interesting. Yeah, no, I rarely write in the morning or afternoon. It doesn't do anything for me. So I suppose, I really felt that connection with Madge Gill in terms of the vibrancy of. I mean, she obviously, was working way, into the early hours. Yeah, I think I do. I think I really, really do respond to early hours in the morning writing. Yeah, I really do like it.
But if there are any parents in the room, we're not recommending lack of sleep.
So my second question would be to you younger members of the cast. What other opportunities do you have in this area to do something like this?
Any ideas? Red, you look like you're about to say something.
Good question.
Through the drama group or school?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, we have plenty of opportunities. There's a lot of drama clubs out there, you can get involved, stuff like that. And yeah, in school as well, it really pushes.
I think there's less and less in today's modern world, which is a shame because I feel like since technology has advanced, we see headlines like AI makes art when it should be humans creating stuff, because I feel like there should be more opportunities, and this is such a great production because it gave me an opportunity to work with professional actors, but I feel like there is this decline in the arts in today's society when instead there should be more of a focus on it, because I feel like Madge Gill's art helped her in some aspects stay sane, and I feel like people need art. I feel like people get inspired by art, if that makes sense.
I completely agree with Alexandra, because even though there is a lot of drama, extracurricular activities, I don't believe there is enough, especially within this area. When I went to drama club, I used to go to the centre of London because there wasn't any really advanced courses within this area here. So I would like more. I would definitely like more.
The seventh Newham play.
All our stuff.
It's on its way.
Yeah, excellent. I think we've got time for one more question. Yes.
Well, in relation to that, is Stratford Circus still functioning or not? Because my son, who grew up in Beckton, he managed to get involved in something at Stratford Circus. Then he built on it there was actually for professional actors a program on method acting, and then he ended up doing a BTEC because he got the bump for it. A BTEC at Barking College in Performing Arts, then went to LAMDA, and
I'm not sure Stratford Circus is still funded.
well, does that opportunity still
I think
exist?
it closed a few years ago. Yeah.
I had heard that it closed, but it had a history of opening and closing and opening and closing, but
Yeah.
it's closed now.
It's a shame because it was such a purpose-built facility, wasn't it? But, okay, well, to tie things up, I want to, again, given we've got this perspective of looking back on it from last year, we've heard enough from you, no offense, James, but, but I want to hear from each of these guys, and ending with the younger members of the cast, like their big takeaway, whether it's a feeling or a lesson, or even what I love are anecdotes from the experience. If there was a funny highlight from any of the experiences on stage or off. Bryony.
Ooh. I always go blank for that sort of thing.
It was such a rush, not a lot. Kind
Yeah,
of
just,
time to
did anything sit in my brain at all? I'll give it a I mean, sadly Eric couldn't be here today, but he also sadly couldn't almost be at one of the performances. So I was actually looking at the script going, right, I might have to do his lines as well. Okay, so I'm going to have to, yeah, so am I going to play Tom as well?
No, Dario, you should have gone on our day. Eric wasn't there.
That's where it's fun, like, and that's kind of, you know, with it being only 2 weeks in the show, you just got to step up. You got to step up and do it, and trust your instincts, and that kind of whirlwind, which is kind of why you do suddenly then forget it all afterwards.
Yeah.
Because it's all kind of living in your short-term memory, and it's all
Quite intense.
Yeah, but that's the fun of it as well. And they say you kind of just think, yeah, sure, you're my son, you're my mother, let's go, like, and you just kind of have to enjoy it and crack on.
I think it's two things really. Partly, as we said, a lot in this is the hybrid model of having the adult professional actors and the young actors as well. It's just how much fun that was. And these guys were phenomenal because they had a week. And there's so much they had to be able to do. They had lots of characters to cover, they had a lot of movement choreography to learn, they had a lot of stage management to learn, backstage moving stuff. So just kind of, the excitement that you didn't have time to think it too much, you just had to kind of get on with it. It was good fun. And actually just discovering Madge, who I did not know at all before we started, and I'm really glad I do, because I think she's kind of she's a great patron saint for art, because you don't need any training, you don't need any qualifications or reason to be doing it other than that you want to, and it's something in you. I think she's a phenomenal person, so I'm very glad and grateful to James for having sort of introduced me to Madge.
Wonderful.
I'm glad to know that.
Red, highlight or anecdote?
I simply just love like the chaos of it all. Like I remember every show we would do, it would be different, and every show was unique, as in like something went wrong. Like, I remember the first show we did, like no shade to the professional actors, like it was like a whole block of like speeds and everything, and it was just like. Like the show just ended, it was like, it felt like half the show we completed, and like every single time, it's just stuff like that, it was hilarious.
Who would do that?
And also on the last day, like I simply love like the bonds we formed and everything. Like I remember on the last day, sorry to Mr. Eric, but he's not here. He got stuck in a loop.
Oh my! Really?
And it was just a whole.
Eric had a hard time, right?
I remember I was changing, and then I just hear someone going, help, help. I'm like, what's going on? Who's speaking through the wall? I'm like, Myrninerest, is that you? Like, what's going on? And then I realized it's Eric. I'm like, wow, no way. I run down, I told everyone, and then everyone's like, no, we're not leaving until he's free. And it was just a whole.
Hours later, we were going out.
It was
And then when you were out, I was like, why were you in there? He's like, I just thought I'd go for a ride.
Like highlight or anecdote?
I think overall, like, there's so many moments that I could talk about, like, there were moments when we were just all laughing together, or, like, moments when it was, like, inspiring, or moments when I was learning new, like, techniques about, like, acting, or, like, moments where I'm like, oh my god, this is, like, an opportunity. I feel like it's such a whirlwind experience. It was 2 weeks, but it was something I don't think I'm ever going to forget in that short time, and it's such, like, a great opportunity, and I wish there would be more opportunities like this, because it's rare. And I feel like that's what I like about it more. It's like, how privileged am I to be part of this production, because it's so rare to work with professional actors. It's so rare to see underrated people's stories being told. A woman who suffered with mental health, but she's still so inspiring. So I think I'm just overall grateful to have been part of it.
Beautiful. Yes.
I really enjoyed building the foundations and the whole project as a whole, building the entirety of it throughout that 1 week that we did build it, because we've learned so much from everyone, from all the things. Every day we do something new, and from that new opportunity, new experience, we would learn something new, and that is what I really love about this project, is that you learn something new.
Well, can I just add to all the praise being heaped on you guys? You are also fantastic post-show panelists, incredibly poised and insightful, and it was wonderful to hear about your experiences, as well as you professional guys. But what a wonderful project. Please join me in thanking Pijus and Alex and Red and Dario and Bryony and James. Thank you. And we look forward to the next Newham play.
Thank you.
Anything else you want me to add, James?
Well, actually, just very quickly, because you inspired me. I've thought about this, what I'm going to say next, and I've discussed it with my students so many times. You know, there's a bias towards, I think, certainly I can only speak for the students I teach in terms of what they watch. They don't really go to the theatre enough, I feel. And, you know, and while I'm, you know, really keen and passionate about film and TV and streaming, they've often asked, but do you think theatre will survive? You know, it doesn't sound like it will, you know, with the digital age. I think it will, for the very reasons you've outlined there, that it is memorable, it is special. And something like the Newham plays, I know I'm biased, obviously. In a way, I would love it to go on, and I think we all would, and go global. But in a way, the more you do that, possibly the less unique it becomes. And it's interesting, Alexandra, you're all saying it's clearly memorable for you. And in terms of the audience, I think, well, yeah, I do think theatre will survive. I'm not convinced it will survive in the established theatres. You know, maybe that's just me, you know, wanting to have a pop at them. But what I like about the kind of work we do in the Newham plays is that, you know, it's analogue, it's three-dimensional, and you physically brush up against people. You know, you make contact. And I think it's something you cannot get, no matter how good a film or a TV is. There's something about this bumping into each other, whether it's promenade or whether it's some of the experiences we've heard about this, which to me, I'm so flattered by, because that's memorable, it's special, it's unique, and I don't think it's forgotten easily. That's good enough for me.
No, wonderful. Long may it continue. Thank you again.
Thank you everyone for coming.